Hey, so one of the things that I wanted to do for my digital demonstration was to take a look at Twitter and how Twitter could be used to kind of facilitate the collection of resources, but also to possibly have conversations with. And then to use, also show you a website where I take all the resources I find on Twitter and I save them for later use. So this is my feed right now, and I know some of you already use Twitter and are probably familiar with it. But a common complaint that I often hear about Twitter is that it's a little overwhelming. So even just looking at my Twitter feed right now, um, there's a lot of different things going on. So you get I follow a lot of different kinds of people. I'm really into movies, so I follow filmmakers. I follow some writers. I follow historians, politicians, teachers, some students, some just personal friends and things like that. So this can be very, very overwhelming, looking at so many different kinds of people talking about different things all at once. And I think it can often be deafening in a kind of way. So one of the things that I've started to utilize more to kind of organize some of the craziness of Twitter is I've actually developed a real love for the tweet deck. And the reason why the tweet deck is so useful is because you can organize everything by columns. So, for example, if you can see that these are different columns here, and they serve different purposes. These are hashtags and various other things. So the first column is my actual home, which is a feed of everybody, and you can tell that's kind of the confusion that we were looking at before. These are all the mentions of like people asking me questions and talking to me. So I've one of my friends talking to me about a movie we just saw, and I have some students talking to me about what's going to be on the final and things like that, asking me questions. But if you go over here, this is where things get a little bit more focused. I've found hashtags to kind of that suit my needs, and one of them is SS Chat, which is social studies chat, and history teacher, which is pretty basic, and English chat, which is obviously for English teachers, and flipped class, which is actually something more like digital, for example. And so if you take a look, you can kind of see that a lot of the different tweets have different links and people sharing different things. And maybe some of you already participate in this, but if you look down, you could just like every couple minutes you get somebody offering something about some piece of history or some kind of link or some book or some new resource page and things like that. And even with it organized this way, it can still be kind of confusing. So what I've often done is I've actually clicked on each of the links of things that I'm interested in and then saved them to a social bookmarking site called Digo, which I'll show you in 1 second. To give you an example, so for example, here is a tweet that's about Frederick Douglass's autobiography, which we read in American Studies. So I would click on it, and it's from Incitement, which is a site that I often use, and probably even use this particular page. I would click on it, and what it would do is it would take me to the source. And this is a lesson plan, and I might be interested in using it at some point. I have a website that I'm registered to called Digo, which is spelled Diigo, where I would then bookmark it using its toolbar up here. I've installed a toolbar, bookmark the site. I would then share this to a group. I've created groups on my Digo. American Studies is my class, so I would just then save. Now, if I were to go to the website, this is my site. These are all the sources that I've saved from Twitter over the last couple months, and they're all searchable. And this is where I kind of get the sense of what I need to find, what I need to do. You can put tags. So, for example, you have YouTube, Civil War, government, history, Khan Academy, things like that, and you can find different things. And it doesn't all have to be for school. I found a movie script I wanted to look at, and so therefore I saved it. And you can kind of just see what I've been saving up over the last couple months. And the fact of the matter is oftentimes on Twitter, I will find information that I already went over and I can't really use now, but maybe I could use next year. So in the case of this tweet, we've already read Frederick Douglass's autobiography, but maybe that lesson plan could be useful to me next year, but I don't really have time to look at it now. Saving it on Digo from my TweetDeck is a nice way to kind of like have ammunition sort of stored up over the last couple of years and have something to draw from when I hit Frederick Douglass next year and I want to take a look at what I want to do. So for example, if I were to come back to my Digo account, come up here and then write Douglass just to search for it. Oh, there's nothing there. But if I put slavery, here you have different websites. And some of them might have Frederick Douglass. Yep, here's Frederick Douglass right here. And you can kind of see that there are a lot of options that I have if I get into Frederick Douglass's autobiography, if I want to give some background on teaching slavery, the background of the book, and things like that. So saving all this stuff here is nice, not just because it's an easy way to just bookmark things on this computer, but any computer I go on, I can go on Digo and I can check it out. But just to get back to the TweetDeck for a second, as you can see, this is a good professional development tool, but it could also be a good tool for communicating with students. I find that students who are already on Twitter sometimes will tweet me questions about homework and tweet me questions about while they're studying, they have a question and they send me questions. And I find that to be actually very, very, very useful. One of the things that I've been experimenting with, but not as much lately, as you can see by these columns being empty, I have American Studies, or it's called AmStud MHS, which stands for American Studies Morristown High School, and where we can have discussions. So if I find something interesting, very similar to how teachers share stuff with each other, I can share things with my students by putting the hashtag AmStudMHS. I have a friend who teaches US 2, so it's H2 chat, which is History 2 chat, and he has conversations with his students either synchronously or asynchronously regarding regarding topics and concepts that they're talking about in class. What you may find though, and this may be good or bad depending on how you take it or the nature of it, you do get hashtags made up about you or about your class. Right here I have Kenny Class Problems, which is sort of students their way of venting about the many obstacles within the classroom. Is actually pretty funny, and I don't take it personally, and most of it's actually in good fun and often include my name in it so they see what they're saying. But you sometimes get students who kind of are talking about what they have to do, and you get to see them having conversations, discussing their reports and things like that. Research papers they're writing, asking how many pages have you written? How far are you? When did you start? Trying to get a sense of what people are doing. And it's kind of interesting to see people talking on Twitter about your class. I would show you conversations in these columns, but because the school year is winding down and we haven't really been doing it, it clears out automatically. If you were ever to sign on to make your own download TweetDeck and want to get started, it's very, very easy. So you get it, and then all you have to do is add column, and it'll create a column, and it'll ask you what you want the column to be. You put in a hashtag, and you then say, hashtag history teacher, hashtag English chat or Ing chat, and then you basically start getting a feed of everybody who puts that hashtag in. You can actually send tweets from the TweetDeck if you just click up here, and it will open up one for you, and then you can just type in like hello and then whatever hashtag, and then you can send it off. You can add pictures. You can send it as a direct private mail if it's something of some sensitivity and things like that. So the TweetDeck takes what is actually rather confusing and overwhelming and sort of organizes it for you into different sort of columns, making it you optimize the kind of positive resources you can get from it. And like I said, I highly recommend. I don't know if somebody else is doing a demonstration on Digo, having a Digo toolbar, being registered to Digo to kind of store up all the resources that you find on Twitter, because you're going to find sources at odd times, maybe inconvenient times, and you're gonna the following year you're gonna need to use those again, and it'll be nice to have it stored somewhere. So that is my demonstration. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or ask me next class that when we meet face to face, or I'm going to post this on Ning. You can just write comments below.